The line here is us and the dot is change, and we face a lot of it. As always, parents and educators seek winning approaches to respond to the successes, interests, and needs of students. Our creative pedagogy is how we can collaboratively meet these challenges and get control over the learning climate defined by accelerating change. However, currently, while education systems worldwide attempt to adapt to these changes by adopting a version of global competencies, teachers struggle to keep pace. Change is persistent and evocative. It may be empowering and offer opportunity for those who can wield it, but for others, most of us, the uncertainty of change is frightening. Faster than ever before, our climate, social behaviors, and a booming digital economy are twisting and transforming the world around us. In 2007, we were changed by the emergence of the smartphone and social media. In 2008, the optimism and thrill of these emergent digital environments were met by a recession. That delivered considerable populations that felt betrayal, distress, anxiety, and uncertainty. Teachers were not spared these effects. As these environments shifted, partners in education reacted in often uncoordinated and ill-considered ways. See, kids, parents, and teachers alike struggled to navigate the accelerated pace of change, and as a result, they suffer the emotional wake of anxiety, displacement, and disengagement. Problem is, yesterday's pedagogy wasn't designed to deal with smartphones, social media, and the global ecological crises. And it's buckling under the pressure. We need to stop pretending that our systems and methods are keeping pace with the rapidly evolving world around us. Teachers who want to get ahead of the curve need a nimble pedagogy. Creative pedagogy, or a sociogogy, which acknowledges that we teach and learn as a community, is designed to cultivate learners who actively collaborate to shape the changes we face. As teachers, it is our job to nurture our students' collective creativity. And with a 200,000-year record to prove it, our capacities to create and collaborate are the most powerful forces humans possess to shape our future. Tomorrow's teaching starts today. And we're going to get there through the pedagogy fashioned from the conditions that foster creativity, our natural remedy for change. To move forward and to manage change, we have to accept this reality. Change is unavoidable, and time never stands still. Where Moore's law projects accelerating exponential growth of technology, Thomas Freeman points out how somewhere around 2011, we passed the point where we can naturally adapt to the rate of technological change. But he offers a solution. As educators, we can focus on students learning faster, and the public's got to think more about how to govern smarter. The effects described by Moore's law can be observed in all domains of modern society. Today we see finance shifting to blockchain, governance relying on big data, industry adopting the Internet of Things and artificial intelligence. Education, too, is exploring the potential of 5G technologies and AI to displace much of what we teachers do or have done. However, we know that technologies cannot exhibit compassion or lead kids to imagine, take risks, and to reach lofty ambitions. Teachers have these capacities. Teachers collaborate to set the conditions and navigate complicated systems. They look out for student needs and can connect students to novel resources. Knowing that creativity is among our greatest natural human capacities to respond to change, Ken Robinson in 2006 led us in asking, do schools kill creativity? Robinson and others before and after him provokes educators to examine our public school systems and pedagogies. As we face the 21st century, are schools focused on cultivating the capacities learners need to meet the challenges before them? In this climate, it makes sense to fashion an education system and pedagogies where creative learning can thrive. As our system's adoption of global competencies aims to serve a changing economic and social world, we can predict, for example, what the future holds in 5 years. 300,000 new jobs in Canada in the digital economy alone. And if we don't adopt practices and goals that prepare kids for these immediate opportunities, who will fill these positions? To name a few, these positions in clean tech, clean resources, advanced manufacturing, interactive digital media, health and biotechnology, agri-foods, and food tech, among many other domains in the digital and creative economies, all seek compassionate, creative, and critical collaborators. We can and must do more to prepare students for this reality. Our public education system's response to these challenges comes through structures and curricular adaptations such as global competencies and restorative practices. Though these approaches address a changing world, teachers and parents are tasked with making sense of these models on the fly, while still trying to engage the learners in front of them. To this, we need to adopt comprehensive approaches or guiding postures that work for learners and teachers. So here's a story of a creative pedagogy. Imagine a line, us. Well, it's the poster child for consistency. And the line meets a dot, who disrupts the line's path. And these are the challenges before us. We all face them. Technological acceleration, social media, racial and gender intolerance and inequality, environmental degradation, mass migration, industry shifts, economics, climate change. And we know that change leads to feelings ranging from distress to hope. To address these changes, we can run away, collide with, or adapt them. As the dot's adversity throws the line into the crisis of change, better that we innovate critical responses or to have them run over us. And to get there, we need to accept that change is the natural order and to accelerate how we adapt to it. We need to consider how we can accommodate the adversities we face. It is through creativity that we fashion a response to change, like the dot and the line. Creativity has a paradoxical codependent need for adversity to emerge and support to take form. Public education is an extension of our society, and if we are to teach and learn in a perpetually changing world, teachers need a creative pedagogy or sociogogy, because it is how we as a society shapes change. Creative pedagogy responds to Freire, who contends that knowledge emerges only through invention and reinvention. Through the restless, impatient, continuing, hopeful inquiry human beings pursue in the world, and with each other. To prepare our youth to learn what is needed to meet the challenges, we, teachers and parents, must assume consistent postures at work. Compassion and empathy must guide our actions and support the building of relationships where kids feel they belong and are excited to pursue their curiosities. In the establishment of safe, secure, and supportive environments, we prepare learners to take risks necessary for growth. And when we develop strategies around and through what drives learning, autonomy, belonging, mastery, and purpose, learners have opportunities to autonomously develop ideas in an environment where they know they belong. Teachers may also assume every learner wants to build tangible skills through a range of their senses and to do so with a sense of purpose. Students also need countless opportunities to creatively and critically engage the world through their senses, where they are inspired to imagine, ideate, and innovate. And as we face tremendous environmental, social, and economic challenges, we need a pedagogy that steers learners to consider the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Such goals give purpose for creative risk-taking, collaborations, and the rapid growth of skills. Were educators to persistently ensure these four foundational qualities, more students and teachers would be purposely poised to engage in deeper learning. To establish a safe and secure environment, teachers need to practice and model a cultural and linguistic responsive pedagogy. This inclusive restorative approach informs teachers on how to be more attentive, tolerant, and inclusive of student behaviors, so we can more fully integrate and juxtapose diverse populations while leading kids to exhibit more collaborative behaviors. Building a functional and collaborative community takes considerable preparation. To begin, Teachers should identify the benefits and barriers of effective group work. Many of our more conventional practices may often get in the way of fruitful group learning, since it is often based on cooperation rather than on collaborative practices. So cooperation in group work tends to divide up tasks because many hands make light work. But the specialists remain specialists. And it resembles an assembly line where you're not in each other's ways, but you're not necessarily taking responsibility for each other. People have their egos invested, where we still see students take over and other ones feel disengaged. This still celebrates the individual genius, and teachers are still stuck as supervisors and facilitators, but not really collaborators. It's really similar to kids working on their own because it celebrates the individual genius, and depending on the teacher, students will sink or swim on their own, and this really limits the innovation potential that we could otherwise have with collaborations. And again, the teacher is the supervisor and facilitator responsible for each individual. Whereas in collaborative group work, teachers may not appreciate this enough, but it does take time and consistent practices to establish a collaborative culture. However, this investment is worth it. When done through restorative practices, collaborations celebrate diversity and community potential. It develops a breadth of skills where people apply to address a shared concern. It's a very effective process of problem solving. It relies on idea juxtaposition through varied perspectives. And through this, the ego has to be set aside in place of a group or eco-centric way of thinking. Collaborative creativity emerges here where each partner encourages one another's growth. Because people learn by teaching and they hone concepts through articulation and sharing. This builds ambiverts. Because while the extrovert is still stimulated by sharing, it makes room for the introvert to be heard. As kids own and get invested in their collaborative learning processes, they innovate and learn faster. And this rescues any time that may have been lost by establishing a collaborative culture. And the teacher really wins here. Because the teacher is now released from being a supervisor because you hope that the kids are more engaged in their own intrinsically motivated challenge. So the teachers are collaborators, facilitators, and mentors. We hope to see this within the teaching profession itself. There is the concept of collaborative professionalism, where the collaborative spirit extends from and beyond the classroom. In collaborative professionalism, we look past our hierarchies to empower teachers to own and lead their professional development. This model promotes the representation of diverse teacher insights to inform leaders, the system composers, and to satisfy the need to have a sincere voice in their professional development as we collectively strive to serve student success. Now, with the right consistencies, other dimensions of teaching and learning are bendable. Teachers are encouraged to model and promote adaptivity. Many changes, like the emergence of the smartphone or distant learning from COVID, don't fit nicely into our classroom. So we must leave room to improvise in the face of different obstacles. This means we must also normalize and support different ways for learners to engage, represent, and express their learning as promoted through the Universal Design for Learning model. Teachers realizing that owning all of the decision in a classroom is unmanageable should seek ways to include student voice and to encourage collaborations. This frees teachers from being the supervisor and reinvest their time and energy to collaborate, coach, and mentor, while further nurturing students' sense of autonomy, belonging, mastery, and purpose. Such planning is enhanced when further identifying and employing the diverse perspectives and skill sets in the classroom. This capitalizes on the class's capacity to collaboratively tackle large, complex challenges. And in a safe, secure, and supportive learning environment, students can build grit by being able to distinguish negative struggles such as personality conflict from positive ones, like challenges that lack known solutions. There are ways to make sense of these complex relationships and challenges. For example, this concept demonstrates how learning processes can be blended with UDL and assessed in the context of achieving learning competencies. As students move towards their competency goals, learning can be observed and assessed through indicators that are represented, performed, or expressed from UDL strategies. These emerge from challenges guided by comprehensive design thinking or other considered learning processes. To curate experiences like a gallery director composes an exhibit, creative teachers seek a place for the key components, the students' interests and capacities within strategies and resources to meet student needs and curricular priorities. So we need to feed their insatiable curiosities through inquiry, problem, and project-based learning, where design thinking or design sprints may come in handy. We need to pursue phenomenological and pathway experiences that connect the diverse talents in your classroom with the necessary resources to feed their personalized growth. Consider mentors among other teachers, the Chamber of Commerce, and NGOs. We might also look for synergy with the community group in need and where learners are expanding opportunities to engage in collaborative creativity. And we can shape and seek spaces and approaches that reflect their world. From this creative pedagogy, teachers should note a new culture among colleagues and learners where growth and leadership are promoted and everyone is a limitless resource, such as reshaping homerooms where teachers and students might collaborate to provide support to other learners in the school, and for this pattern to repeat itself year after year in this pay-it-forward spirit. All will approach the crisis of change with calmness, knowing that together they can solve anything. Knowing when to embed technologies and varied points of view over their sense of intrusion is to know what struggles are worthwhile and what really stresses or boosts learning. Remember, the tool itself isn't the threat. Its ill-considered application is. It's like gazing out the window. Those who struggle to manage their screen time often indicate a student insecurity or need for support. This restorative approach should mitigate many battles over cell phone use in class. When we are focused on more collaborative creativity, we will accelerate learning and solve some problems that affect our communities. How exciting is it to know that the application of learning has real impact? Students should be encouraged to reflect on their actions where, through awareness of their growth and social contribution, they too may express gratitude. From here, learners will make a habit of collaboratively tackling challenges in the world to improve the greater good. This is what we need to both weather and help save a rapidly changing world. Furthermore, as teachers refocus in this direction, they will adopt a more human, compassionate, sincere, and purposeful relationship with students and themselves. Less referee and box checker, more agents of societal progress. So how can we nourish learning for a climate of rapid change? Well, let's start with leading through compassion. And target global competencies guided by curiosities and allowing for complexities. We need to promote active community leadership through creative collaborations and never forget that leadership is a limitless resource. And we can compose our school's use of time and space to better reflect our students' world. I'm Paul Syme. You can find me at creativepedagogy.ca or follow me on Twitter at SymeCreative. Thank you very much for your time.